One is an ad that we did a long time ago for a video game called Quarantine. And what it is like a driver's game, a very violent driving game that came out before today's violent driving games. So it was probably the first one out there. And this is the ad we did. It worked. And I picked out one other. This is an ad that we did for Giro bike helmets. And they had just come out with a new helmet. And the real story of this helmet is that it was beautiful and sexy. So this is the press ad we did. It was an ad that was done in the US. There was a lot of conversation about the way African Americans spoke as compared to the way Caucasian Americans spoke. And a lot of people were sort of angling to have African American speech recognized and call it Ebonics. And it was a very complicated political issue. And a group of African American clergymen ran an ad in the Atlanta paper sort of arguing against this whole idea of reclassifying language. And basically the ad was a picture of Martin Luther King, and the headline said, "I has a dream." And it was maybe the most powerful ad I can remember seeing in the newspaper. Yes. Brooks Brothers, and then sometimes I buy them online from Orvis. I love the idea of CPB New Zealand. Whether or not we would actually do it, I'm not really sure. Sort of one of our thoughts was to go to Auckland and buy special, but they have a far, way overinflated idea of what they're worth. So that's not gonna happen. We still do newspaper ads. I mean, obviously, I think in the US, more so than in other parts of the world, newspaper readership has dramatically declined. But we do still do newspaper ads for some of our clients. We did a newspaper ad, in fact, last week. I liked it. The headline was, "Pork chops, $2.99 a pound." I think trust. I mean, I think, this is a serious answer, I think that when agencies trust their client to not jerk them around or be political, and when clients trust their agency to really do the best thing in the best interest of the client, that's when the best work happens. And that's hard to develop and it takes a long time, but I think what helps with it mostly is if you have a couple of early wins, a couple of early pieces of work that really produce great results. It's a lot easier to develop the kind of trust you need. And it goes both ways. The kind of trust you need that, in my experience, generates great work. I think that awards are very important for growing agencies because it's one of the best ways for you to let the world see what you're doing. How else do little agencies? For a long time, we were a little baby agency in Miami with little clients. No one outside of Florida saw our work. The only way they saw it was through the press and through awards. So I think awards are valid in helping to generate the growth of new agencies, which are really the juice of this business. I mean, obviously, if you see an ad instantly and you say, wow, that's sensational, that's a great thing. If I can remember it 9 years later, like I do with the Martin Luther King ad, probably that's really what rocks my boat. I have several pages, actually. Let me start at the beginning. No, I've only been to New Zealand once, and I'm very, 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 very sad about that because I didn't get to see very much of it. I would like to live there. I went to a little island just about 45 minutes from Auckland, which of course I can't remember the name of, but someone will plug it in here. And I called my wife that night and said, this is like the coolest place I've ever seen, because on one side, it's like Hawaii, and on the other side, it's like Antarctica, and it's all within 6 minutes of each other, and it's unbelievable. And you'll be driving along, and there'll be like rolling mountainside that feels like the Midwest of the US. It feels like Wisconsin. And then you come up over a hill, and you see the weirdest, strangest bird you've ever seen. I really like New Zealand. I think the only advice I would have for junior creatives is listen more than you talk. Try and find mentors who are really, really good at what they do. And don't be afraid to do stuff over and over and over again. And when your stuff gets shot down, don't be disheartened. Realize that it's a second chance to do it better, because in my experience, it usually will be. Yeah, the answer to that is I absolutely do. I think that there's a lot of cool technology out there, social media and everything else. It's fun and it's sexy and it's irrelevant unless you're telling a good story. If you're the very first person, the very first in a new medium, you can say anything and it'll work. If you were the first television advertiser, the very first one, you could come on television and say, we have raincoats for sale, come and buy them. And people would. But if you're after the first, you have to tell a story and you have to engage the audience. And that's about emotion. You know, Plato said there is no learning without emotion. And probably everybody in our business should have that stuck to their wall. I don't know, you know, that's a really good question. I think that, I think probably in some ways, especially in terms of emerging media, you maybe are past it at 30. And I don't put a lot of stock in experience. I mean, I think that experience is only important to the degree that the future is going to be like the past. I think if you're good, you're good. And I think if you're good, you're probably good when you're 19, and you're probably still good when you're 59. I would start a competition for print ads, and I would give away the $10,000 to the best piece of work. Yes. Nobody is going to hire you because you're safe, because you're not safe. So you got to have something to sell that they're willing to take a risk to buy. And that means different, it means new kinds of thinking, it means new ideas. The only way they're going to come to you is if they can buy something from you that they can't buy anywhere else. So that's what you got to be building. No matter what time it is, no matter what day it is, it's okay to have a beer. $1994 was pretty good. The best year was 1998. 1998 was the year, in the US anyway, when 14-year-old kids had little duffel bags with $8 million worth of venture capital in it, and they walked into every advertising agency in America and said, I want to buy a Super Bowl spot. It was great. I really hate to talk about other agencies. I never ever worked for another agency. I was a freelancer for 16 years, then I had this job. So I never worked for another agency. And also I just don't believe in judging it. There are a lot of agencies doing terrific stuff. I just got back from Cannes, and there's an enormous amount of work there that's humbling from agencies all over the world, and you know who they are just as well as I do.